Hello. Welcome back to the heyHAE podcast. My name is Hey, and I am the she behind AstroloSheCraft and AstroloShe. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about Burnt Crispy. Now, you probably don't know who Burnt Crispy is unless you're my career coach. And that is when I put a name to the persona of Burnt Crispy. Burnt Crispy is the corporate version of myself that no longer is being burnt. um, I took a voluntary severance offer August 1st, the same week as my 11-year anniversary at my old corporate job. And I have been unemployed since. And I got to that point because I was in a role at the end that I did not ask for, I didn't interview for. I was just kind of shoved there by the powers that be, and repeatedly told that I wasn't doing a good job with it, which is a little triggering if we're honest with each other. And so the persona of me at work, I kind of always imagined her in like a blazer, tried to dress somewhat colorful, not necessarily all in black, but she looked cool. Um, she usually had like a wing eyeliner on, and if you've worked with me in corporate, and you're listening to this, and you've worked with me like in the office, you know that there was definitely a time period where I was pushing the blazers, or like at least a styled sweater, or I wouldn't necessarily all the time show up to our office not looking like something. Um, I didn't just kind of like throw on leggings and a sweatshirt, which is definitely how I dress now. But Burnt Crispy, despite all that she did, and she got dressed and put together, and she had a bunch of highlighters, and she had a bunch of office stationery. She wrote notes to people. She ended up just trying to sit in the fire, sit in the lava, if you will, and just hold on to the edge of it and just hope that she can someday get out of this ironic hot tub. And she got burnt. The phrase burnout is very prevalent to my story. And that's why I haven't just jumped on the corporate bandwagon again, because I'm still working on healing Burnt Crispy. Now, I don't believe that I can reverse time, and I can't, just put an ointment on Burnt Crispy and say, okay, you're back to normal. Come on, sweetie. She is still charred in a lot of places, but she is no longer super dry, flaky, falling apart, completely darker in color. She's coming out of it. She is healing. These last, 6 months, I think, right? I can do math. I think probably 6 months, 7 months have been stressful in some ways. I lost my grandfather in November. I have formally gone no contact with both of my parents as of December, and had my car stolen in December. We just got it back last week. So there's been a lot of things that have rocked my world in between corporate life to now, which I'm recording this on February 9th at 2 a.m. because that's how we do it here, especially on the unedited part of all of this. And a lot of Burnt Crispy, when I was talking to a career coach and trying to get out of my own way, because essentially that's what holds me back, and that will be for a different time. But Burnt Crispy has learned to be, or has been conditioned to be, terrified of making moves by herself. She sits in her cubicle. It's very nicely decorated. It's beautiful, but she's always tired. She didn't necessarily take naps because she was didn't get sleep. She would take naps because her body was just shutting down, and she couldn't handle the stress count. She was losing weight. She was deferring her period because of the amount of cortisol that was coursing through her at any time. She, side note, it was almost like when I was 16, um, I had, 3 to 4 months where I didn't menstruate whatsoever. And then you would probably have like a full maybe 2 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks sometimes, where I would be out of commission. So that was really fun trying to get through high school when that was happening, especially like gym class. I'm like, oh yeah, let's run the mile. I'm like, bro, I just want to go find a dog bed and just pretend that I am a golden retriever and just take naps and eat treats. Thank you. Anyway, so burnt crispy, especially toward the end of my corporate life, as we were coming into springtime of 2025, trying to be in this new role, not understanding why my new role or my old role just dissipated. But that's kind of how corporate hoops work. But that's when my persona of burnt crispy was burnt. The corporate part of me that really loved it got really jaded. And not to call out one of my work besties, and now just I call you a bestie. Her name is Jade. So not to say that like jaded is a bad thing. Literally every time I use the word jaded, I think about you, Jade. And I don't mean any negative effects, of course. But I got so jaded, and I stopped. I don't even say going above and beyond. I stopped a lot of the positivity mindset. I stopped caring. I started having at least one pretty significant panic attack a week for around 3 months, 4 months consistently, sometimes 2, because I felt that I couldn't get on the phone and do my job correctly. I felt like with all the education that was being thrown at me, and not super accommodating education, a lot of it was read this, take test, or attend this lecture, retain information. But the lectures only lasted so long and there wasn't really time for questions. Anyway, we're spiraling. Let's come back up. So burnt crispy. Little did I know, burnt crispy, it turns out, is the child version of me who dreamed of living in the capital of my state, which I'm in Indiana. Our capital is Indianapolis. And I feel safe saying that, or safe-ish saying that, because Indianapolis is big. But, burnt crispy was the child version of me that was like, I'm going to escape to the big city. I'm going to go to a place where, like, I'm not even going to see cows. I'm not even going to see, like, anybody I went to school with, because everyone gets trapped in my hometown, which is still somewhat true. I love you guys, but it's somewhat true. And I don't want to be one of those people. But like, I would live in the capital. I would work in the capital. I would go to work every single day. I'm going to write cute notes to people, and I'm going to make jokes. And if I've got like some money to spare and somebody needs it, I'm going to always be able to give it to them, which all of the things came true. And then when things started to genuinely fall apart, I feel like the child version of me kind of abandoned my corporate persona. Like, kind of like, you leave your own body and like you're kind of looking down kind of thing. And that's how burnt crispy was formed, is that she kind of left the shell. Child me left the shell in the lava, in the fire, in the extreme lava hot tub, which I am imagining in my head. And I have been working these last handful of months on not fixing burnt crispy, but trying to support burnt crispy as much as I can. Who at this time, I must remind you that this is part of my internal dialogue. So when I talk about like burnt crispy and my inner child, like these are all different versions of me. Just imagine Disney Pixar's Inside Out, like the panel of characters. And at this time, I've let Burnt Crispy leave the panel in the very front, like the control panel. And she's just kind of sitting over there by the window in a really comfy chair, with a nice heated blanket. She's having some tea with some milk, a little bit of sugar. And she is recovering. She is coloring in coloring books. She is taking a nap when her body feels like she needs a nap. She's learning to breathe again. And like her body's so used to the stress and the heat that, we got to do some heating pads and some electric blankets to kind of mimic what that is, but not hurt her. Anyway, the analogy's gone really far here. But all that to say, I want to talk about a few ways that if you feel like you have a burnt crispy version of yourself, or somebody who is recovering from being kind of corporate burnout, things like that. I wanted to give a small handful of ways that I have tried to heal burnt crispy, and what's worked for me. So one of the big things is honestly this podcast. Now, I know that I more recently just shut down the Patreon, and by recently I mean probably like 17 minutes ago, because it started feeling like a job. And I mean, it technically did pay. My patrons paid $5 a month. If you were one of those, thanks for being a part of that since September. But it also put a lot of heat and pressure, and it was kind of starting to burnt crispy where she had healed a little. And so that's why we switched over here. But this podcast gives me a way to audibly talk to people, whether those people are here in this space with me, like when we do a collab or in Discord, or those people are out there listening, and or I'm talking to the different panelists in my head. I am someone who talks to myself a lot. I grew up an only child that was left home alone a lot when I wasn't at my grandparents' house or my aunt's house, because my parents worked a lot, in funky hours, so like overnights and things like that. So I wouldn't necessarily be interacting with anyone. So my inner dialogue generally comes out, in doing this podcast, especially with the agreement with myself that this is not going to be an edited podcast. Like, I join a Discord that's called podcast, like a voice channel. That's just me by myself in a server with my husband. And we just jump in there. My PNG tuber hops online and we just record it in one shot. We don't edit. I don't adjust sound, which some of the old videos, the sound's a little lower. So I'm hoping that what I've done to adjust it is a little bit better for everybody, including my own ears. I couldn't hear myself. I had to turn myself way up in my headphones, and that's weird. Anyway, it's fine. But doing this podcast is kind of like an audio version of journaling. I love journaling. I love handwriting, but actually journaling my thoughts and feelings, it gets really hard. I get really stuck in the formatting and the pen color and do I use a sparkle pen? Do I highlight? Do I write in uppercase? This way I can just get things out that need to get out, and it's a recorded format. So, number one is doing this podcast. The second thing that I've learned to help heal burnt crispy is to accept my physical limitations. So, along the corporate journey, I'm not blaming specifically corporate for my my inability to use my legs like I used to. I have had a sedentary lifestyle for over a decade, especially once COVID happened and we all were swapped to work from home. I really didn't even leave the house, to be honest. And I still don't a lot of the time. So that's kind of made that and other factors. I have neuropathy that I deal with. But those factors kind of combine together. The addition of me that's burnt crispy that walks on this earth, she needs help. And as, as the char is coming off and, as we're healing some of the skin and we're kind of getting somewhat back to normal, I have let go of the ego part of like, well, I don't want to see, I don't want people to see me using my walking cane, which is like baby pink, and I want to cover it in vinyl. That's a project for a different day. But, it's like, even stepping in the shower is scary sometimes. My feet are so, like, I don't want to say they're soft, but like they're so not porous. So like my feet get wet, like they don't really get like pruny, or like they don't have like that grip strength anymore. So like the bathtub in every capacity is slippery to me, and I don't have the option of like, like a flat shower, which would be dreamy as hell right now. But, understanding and supporting who I'm calling Burnt Crispy by getting some suction handle bars for the shower so that I have like a stable point, and having a shower stool. I don't necessarily use it all the time, but it's there if I need it, if my legs give out, if I feel lightheaded, if I need to wash my hair, we can utilize those tools. It's also kind of in conjunction to this point, asking for help. And that's something I've really struggled with, both through corporate life and through just in general. I felt kind of ignored by a lot of my parents, and to some degree, like my family in general. If I wasn't doing well in school, no one really got on to me about it. They only got on to me when they saw the F, and then usually the response was, well, it's your life you're ruining. And so through that, and a whole lot of other factors, because you can't just pin it on that one thing, I'm really stubborn to ask for help because I want to be able to be independent, do it myself. And part of healing Burnt Crispy and or getting that inner child to come back and kind of heal together is openly asking for help. And or when help is suggested, don't just be like, no, I'm fine, but thank you. If it will help in the moment, say yes, please. And, thank you for thinking of me. That would be amazing. And then, the third thing that has really kind of helped, and this is the one that is really inner child. I've picked up Minecraft again. Minecraft is a game that I didn't play when I was a kid. I only have ever played it as an adult. And I don't play it in like a adventure kind of way. I do a lot of repetitive strip mining, a lot of like underground farming, like no redstone, like all manual stuff, because it allows my brain to just kind of mellow and think of different things. I'm a part of a few survival, like shared multiplayer servers, which is really cool. I've learned to play on hard mode, which is something new for me. I'm terrified of mods. That's why I do underground farming. Anyways, but the game not only gives me an opportunity to be smooth brain when my brain goes 50 miles an hour or more every second of the day, but it gives me an outlet to be a part of a community. I am still a part of my sorority. I am still, in a good few discords. So I am a part of communities. However, Minecraft has uniquely kind of given me, I don't know, like a boost. Where IMVU kind of filled that gap a long time ago, probably like 5 years or so. Minecraft has kind of filled in that gap, and it's even simpler than like a platform like IMVU or like Second Life. It's a much simpler focus. Like, you can make it complicated. You can make, crazy machinery. You can, go fight the Ender Dragon. You can go spelunking. You can go, you can go into the Nether. You can go into the, all these things. Or you can just keep it really simple. And it's still the same game. And it's the same group of people, generally, that we all kind of play on the same server and make it beautiful. And so that specifically has been really influential on the childhood me that was like, hey, we can play games. We have a, I know we have a whole library. David, who's my husband, just got me a brand new game for Switch, which is, I think it's like Kirby in the Forgotten Land. I love Kirby as a character, and I love playing him in Smash Bros. But I've never played like the actual franchise, so he got me a Kirby game that we can play together because it's co-op, so that I can learn about Kirby because he knows about Kirby. And Minecraft is kind of the gateway drug to like get back into gaming. In an honorable mention in the gaming sphere, I play Gundam trading card game, which has absolutely fueled my friggin' fire for AstroloSheCraft in a lot of ways. Even if it's not like already established, like Warhammer related. At our local tournaments, there's a few shops around us that play or host, local tournaments, weekly tournaments. We play generally twice a week. There's special events that happen, but showing up in that space, kind of bringing Burnt Crispy along and kind of demonstrating that same power as like walking into the office, like dressed in a type of way, wearing a blazer, looking like something. I'm one of the only females that plays in our local competitions. Everyone else is male, or at least that is what I assume. If you are local to the Gundam community that I frequent, and that is incorrect, please correct me next time you see me. I just generally assumed, but there's not a lot of feminine identifying individuals that play the Gundam trading card game, at least not around me. And so there is a kind of power, even though I don't necessarily win tournaments, so I'm not like, curb stomping people. But there is a sort of magic and power that comes with walking in, generally in leggings, in a hoodie or a sweatshirt with no bra, my hair up in a bun and a hat. There's something oddly magical about that. And then randomly showing up to like some of the bigger like new type challenges, like in a dress with my bra on, and hopefully, something done with my hair. Just to be like, hello, I'm a female in this space, hello. And, that's another kind of game that I never really played trading card games. I was raised on, like, different kind of, like, rummy and, yes, solitaire, but, like, canasta. I was raised on, like, traditional, like, bicycle card decks, and playing games that my grandma kind of passed down to us as kids, me and the other grandchildren, the other three of us. Shout out to Katie, Joe, and Ben in this moment. But I had never actually played like a Pokemon or a Digimon or a Yu-Gi-Oh! So this is the first time that we've played a game, and it's been really fun, and it's been really cool to be a part of a social circle again. That's also something that Burnt Crispy kind of lost throughout the transition, is like everybody was so not packed. Everybody was so manic, I'll say. And they still kind of are, from what I can tell from text messages and, different conversations, is that it hasn't really gotten better. And like Burnt Crispy felt really dependent on these things, and it just made Burnt Crispy and I really upset when some of my best friends, especially from the corporate world, were being hurt emotionally. They were also having, things like panic attacks, and that still happens and it still hurts. And that really kind of made Burnt Crispy really retract out of the spotlight and not wanting to do a lot because people are getting hurt, and it's not okay. And it's still not okay. Let me make that note very clear. It's still not okay that you guys are getting hurt out there in that company and in that role or a similar role. It's not okay. But with all that being said, Burnt Crispy's still not fully healed. Every time I take a shower by myself and I'm able to get in and out of the tub without David kind of being there as the support, I count that as a victory. Every time that I'm able to step up on a curb without a hand, or like, resting my body on the car, I count that as a win. When I make a smart play, especially at, these Gundam games that we play, I take that as a win. Or if I get someone actually really close to death, even though I may lose, that's a win for me. In Minecraft, I count almost all of that as a win, honestly. For those of you who know Minecraft and you've played like the actual like Ender Dragon, there's a thing called Dragon's Breath at the end. And one of the admins of one of the servers I'm in was like, "Hey Astro, can you help me collect Dragon's Breath?" And I didn't know what that meant, so I fully went into the end with no jack-o'-lantern and just stared at the floor. But like, I count that as a win because like I've never done that before, and I collected a whole bunch of Dragon's Breath. Anyways, but I kind of wanted to just talk about Burnt Crispy because I feel like other people might have this similar outer body experience as well. And if this is kind of you and you have a version of yourself that has been burnt out by your job, maybe by, a financial situation or a family situation, and you can identify with Burnt Crispy, I'd love for you to tell me what your Burnt Crispy looks like, and how they got burnt. And, it's always nice to know that I'm not alone, which I know I'm not, but please utilize the comments for search activity. Thank you for activity so that YouTube and Google will push this into the algorithm even more, because the more you like and share and follow and subscribe, the more it signals to the search engines and the algorithm that, hey, people are actually interested in this channel. And shout out to the 10 subscribers that are already here. Thank you. Anyhow. Burnt Crispy is still being healed, and it's going to take a while. I feel like I was in the, I dislike my job probably for 3 years straight toward the end. There were obviously some, positive pockets, but Burnt Crispy has been voluntarily sitting in a hot tub of lava and fire for probably 3 years straight. And that takes a lot of recovery time, a lot of cream, a lot of eating smart foods, a lot of hydration to get that skin back to normal, or at least something better than burnt. And yeah, just know that if you have a version of Burnt Crispy, that it is possible to come back, and it is possible to work with them again and heal and learn from them. Don't just, shun them away because, I used to do that. I'm just like, well, I always talk about work. I'm like, yeah, because I loved work. I was obsessed with work to the point that I got manic and crazy and aggressive because I wanted work to work really well. And it comes at a price. But just know there are ways that you can help heal. And in that same breath, if you are interested in this Minecraft server, leave a comment down below. I can message our admin to see if they are willing to add somebody. If you already have me on Discord, you can also DM me on Discord if you want to join this with me. You can be part of my little town if you want, me and my husband's town. And be kind to yourself. Okay? All of this is a process. Everything is a process. Just make sure that you're kind to yourself, because change is scary, and our current environment in a lot of ways is scary. And the last thing you need to do is to be mean to yourself, or to dismiss yourself, or to belittle yourself. That's the last thing we need, because you don't deserve that either. You or your Burnt Crispy don't deserve it. Your inner child doesn't deserve it. You don't deserve it in general as a human. But we are right here, at the 29-minute mark. I hope that this conversation was kind of insightful. I hope the 3 things that I shared was a little bit helpful about ex-corporate life and kind of trying to recover from that. Let me know what your burnt crispy looks like, or if you have experienced kind of this phenomenon, like out-of-body experience. And I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys in the next podcast. Bye!